Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive, here at your normally scheduled time and play. Oh, not really. We're a day late, but that's okay. We decided to wait an extra day since, we broke things down on Monday, and we wanted a little bit more clarity on some injuries.
I didn't feel like doing a show that close together.
Yeah, it was too close together. We just said all this, and we don't really know anything new. And the market hasn't even moved really. Since then, since we would have done the show 24 hours ago, one of my bets on one of these games, you can't get anymore. And the other one, you could get an even better number. So congratulations on a 1-on-1 conference weekend. Let's start thinking about the Super Bowl. I really don't have a ton to say about these that I haven't already said, but it's, a lot of time has passed. I've got some sincere thoughts, so I'm excited.
And I have some things I want to throw some things at you and get. I think I have some good talking points to just get you kicking back and forth with me here. Real quick.
Yes.
Coaching hires. It looks like Belichick is out because there's two left, and Washington seems to be waiting for somebody who's probably playing in one of the games this weekend. Yep. I think Seattle is in the same boat. Not only that, Seattle, you're not getting rid of. Hey, we got rid of our 70-year-old to bring in another 71-year-old at this point. No. So I think
who do you think Seattle's waiting for? McDonald?
I'm not super sure. I think it might be. I think they haven't really had it much for smoke signals.
Okay.
It'll be interesting if Slowick does end up there. I'm not sure who the favorite is. I
feel like that would have been announced this week, though. If that was the.
I don't know if they're. There could be a case of we want to do our due diligence and talk to the Ben Johnsons and the. Maybe even Monk and I guess I don't know who's on their wish list right now. So. Be interesting to see if they maybe even go after a defensive guy here with there's some good DCs that can be had. Although all the offensive and defensive coordinators are just cycling around.
Yeah, at the same time though, if there's one guy who's proven he's got the answers for a Kyle Shanahan style offense, it's McDonald. And wouldn't be the worst thing to have him as a head coach in Seattle when you go against Shanahan and McVay twice a year for the rest of eternity. So
he has been, he's been. I don't remember who was writing this. We'll get into that game, but looking back at some of the offenses that McDonald has just absolutely put a fucking slam the brakes on this year. If they look really good the next 2 weeks and do it against. The Chiefs and then whoever, it's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
And it sucks because at that point, the guy might not get a job. That's, we always say this when we run into these. We're like, man, how'd they keep both of their coordinators?
Yeah.
Some teams are in a hurry because the combine is in 30 some days. The draft is coming up soon. You need to get this shit done sometimes. And every once in a while I said, well, we're hiring. We need to hire now. And sometimes the guys who are in the Super Bowl get to stay on their teams, which is nice.
Yeah, which is nice. Other
Canales, Shanahan.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
And Raheem, weird because he was there.
Fine.
He was with that team. He was an interim for a bit. Yeah. I like him quite a bit because he proved he can make something out of missing a few ingredients, having the sub figure out how to use 2% when you don't have buttermilk.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. It's one of those he did a lot.
I don't think there's a single unit that overachieved more relative to expectations than the Rams defense. They were very perfectly fine. And I thought they were, they had the talent level. Yeah, I guess overachieved their talent level. They had the talent level of, a bunch of fifth and sixth, day three guys.
Beat Gamer saying, I can't believe Canales took the job. You're right. It was the least attractive job of the cycle, but you can remember
he came up.
That's the thing. He is going to get paid head coach money now.
Yeah.
Less than 12 months ago, he was not even he wasn't the OC.
He was the QB coach in Seattle, right?
QB coach in in Seattle. Like Gino essentially like didn't write back and got him a head coaching job. That's a really nice ascension for him.
Surely.
And then the
Panthers job might end up being freaking great for all we know, because like Dave Tepper surely is not deaf. He knows everybody spent this entire cycle being like, who would work for that asshole? So like maybe he's like, you know what? This time I'm going to take a little bit of a step back because
you got to think he hears it
like last time. So I mean, you would hope. I would hope. Who knows? But the Atlanta one was a little surprising, but it sounds like there's potential. You could bring in some other good young talent from the McVay hive on the offensive side with him. Like, fine, that's a great call. Canales, same thing. Like, I'm all for rolling the dice with some of these young up and comers instead of the retreads. That's cool.
I still may make this meme because it's not like there's a million people in here and everyone will already have heard it. But the dragon, stupid looking dragon.
Yes,
I was gonna do that, but they're all three gonna be stupid.
Yes,
and then but it's gonna say Gino, Baker, and then Bryce, but I was going to lower it by make it really short.
Dave Canales.
I didn't have time because and you're right, Patrick. If Dave Canales gets a good year out of Bryce Young, like you're talking
found the next McVay. Yeah,
he has like 5 years of. I'm a generational quarterback whisperer. It doesn't matter what happens after that. People remember.
Right. I mean, McVay. People forget McVay turned Goff around from a worse rookie year than what we saw from Bryce Young. Mm-hmm. Right, like Goff looked unplayable. Goff looked unplayable under Fisher, and McVay turned him around on a dime. So you never know. Open mind.
And then Callahan is a bit of an unknown because I brought that up when we talked about it, and he was one of the guys. I had him on my short list of guys I hoped that would get a job because he's kind of like the Green Bay Packers at the beginning of the year. Like, I don't know, but. If a bunch of stuff works out, like this team could be really good, this team might be garbage. And it's the same thing as like, was it the head coach? Was it, a lot of the players? Was it the scheme? Was it everything else? Was it luck? Or was Callahan a big part of what made that offense tick? What they got out of Burrow, what they got out of Jake fucking Browning, was he? And there's enough of it could have been him that I wanted to see him at the next level. So I'm excited. And the biggest question, honestly, I'm much more excited to see who the offensive coordinator for the Falcons will be rather than like who gets the Seattle job.
Of course.
That's much more interesting.
Same. Okay. Other business, Casey Brown brings up the all-important question. Should we be wearing tuxedos next week? What is the dress code? Black tie optional, but strongly recommended.
It's not that bad. You can. We can do it semi-formal. At least slacks, guys. Yes. I'm wearing joggers. I can.
Yes. No. I'm glad he said that because now I kind of want to dress up.
I might put a tie.
But if you don't know what he's talking about, and Casey, you might want to dress appropriate because you may be nominated for award. I don't want to spoil anything, but no. Next week is the deep dive. The official deep dive, the original deep dive NFL awards show. It's going to be a mix of semi-fun and semi-serious with the truly absurd that kind of puts a fun way to reflect on the 2023 season overall. And I honestly had so much fun making the awards up and making up the nominees that I think we'll probably make this an annual occasion. So be sure to tune in. That'll be Wednesday for sure. Wednesday at the normal time. If you want to stream it live, if you want to take part in the pomp and the circumstance, it will be Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. With that,
I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this. Like, it's gonna be a good one, guys. Like, I can't believe we've never done this.
All right. You ready to get into this thing?
Yeah. I mean, obviously
we covered the first game.
We covered a ton of ground on Monday.
Yes.
I didn't. So that was kind of a, that sword cut both ways. We got extra time to sit with the games from the divisional round, and we got to say a lot more. In fact, I sat down and rewatched 3 of them that afternoon. It was great to have the extra time to take some extra notes, to watch that. And I think we figured out a little more about some of the, the reasons those teams won and lost. But, I mean, those conversations spun right into these games, and we already talked about a bit. So we'll kind of go a little more micro than macro on this, and I guess we'll start with do you want to just start with the early one because that makes sense?
Of course. At long last, we get Pat Mahomes v. Lamar Jackson in a playoff setting.
Yeah.
We've been deprived of this particular matchup for like the last couple of seasons, which feels unfair.
They just passed each other in the night, never quite.
Yeah. And actually, if you go back in time to the last time we had Ravens v. Chiefs with Lamar and Patrick Mahomes at the helm, it wasn't that the game where like where the Ravens finally slayed the dragon, like they finally like got it done in a very close, high scoring game.
2021 they played.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that was it. Like, right. Like the Ravens came off of it was early in the season. Yeah, it was week 2. Ravens laid an egg in Vegas, by the way, which was weird to open the season. And then week 2, they hosted the Chiefs and beat them 36-35. Haven't seen these teams play then since September 19th, 2021. Very different rosters and coaching staffs for the Ravens, and slightly less talent on the receiving core for the Chiefs. Otherwise,
yeah, it was a different, as Beat Gamers pointing out. Wink was a lot more blitz heavy, especially compared to what we see from what we get from McDonald. But something, I'm sure this has been pointed out, and I don't know why it wasn't something I thought of, but remember these two coordinators faced each other in college, like 2 years ago.
Oh, that's weird.
McDonald and Munkin.
Yeah.
That was a semifinal.
Yeah, wow.
It's funny, but no, it was somebody had written an article about like how nobody wants to hire coordinators straight out of college, but the Ravens did, and it's working out. And obviously that might be something that other teams look at because it's a copycat league, and everybody else is just, all the OC hires seem to be just, hey, this guy was an OC somewhere else, or he was an OC that's now a head coach and he got fired. So we're looking at Vrabel and we're looking at Art Smith, and instead of looking for somebody who, there is something to be said for coming in with an outside view, especially the changes that you saw, and I guess right into this game from what we got with Roman to Monken. And some of it was kind of on display last weekend. That touchdown that we saw from about the 15 that Lamar ran in, that was kind of classic. This is what we do now, where we spread things out. If you go look at I didn't look at all 22, but from where you see, there's a couple of receivers way over by the boundary. Guys are playing, they're forced into a man where people have their backs to Lamar. And like the one guy who's even looking at him has a guy who's able to block him, and Lamar scampers in for the touchdown. Like, a lot of what they've done with this spreading thing out, they do spread things out a lot more, and has opened up the running game, especially when, if you're able to I've always hated we got to run the ball to establish the run to get the pass game open.
Yeah.
Vice versa. But sometimes that's legitimately a thing. Like,
of course. Yeah.
Because there are teams like, hey, we know when you have a sub package in, you have your nickel package in, you have a lighter package where there's more corners, less big guys up front. Like, we're one of the best teams against that. And, if you continually run plays that make them do that, then all of a sudden, how many yards does Lamar have?
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah, that was a big number.
Big step up in class defensively for both teams, though.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
That's the biggest thing.
Before we get our hands too dirty on this, let me give you some trivia. You ready?
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and just assume, because there's a 99.9% probability that Lamar Jackson is this year's MVP.
Yep.
Very cool that we get a head-to-head in the AFC Championship game of last year's MVP versus this year's. That is fun. That's got some juice. Haven't heard anyone mention that. Also, a head-to-head between two players that each have 2 MVPs. Like, this is some serious hardware that these quarterbacks are bringing into this matchup. Andy, can you name the last time we had an AFC Championship game between 2 quarterbacks with that were 2-time MVPs?
Manning Brady.
Which
it had to be. I'm trying to.
It was Manning Brady in 2015.
15, 16?
2015, yes. The Denver Broncos. Oh, that was 2015 season, so the game was contested in 2016.
Oh, sure.
But yes, there was Denver Broncos, New England Patriots. That was the one that was in Denver. Broncos won 20-18. Manning was an absolute shell of himself. Brady had a chance to win at the end of the game or a chance to tie at the end of the game with the 2-point conversion to Gronk. They lost 20-18. And boy, oh boy, are there a lot of parallels between that Patriots team and this Chiefs team. Just like
a super good secondary.
Like yeah, well, I mean, just all kinds of, there's so many parallels. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, multiple Super Bowl winning coach. You got, largely got there by a defense, like really weak wide receiving core, Hall of Fame tight end. Like, that, if you were to tell me that, like, who does
I don't know if Likely's there yet, but
I'm talking about the Chiefs and the Patriots being facsimiles. And then, honestly, if you want to say that the Denver defense, which we know was generational and won them a Super Bowl, right? That was the defense that then went on and beat the Panthers, right? That it's differently constructed. They don't have a Von Miller generational pass rusher necessarily, or at least that we know of. Although Matabuke is making his name well known this playoff run so far. This could be very well could be a generational defense. Like, there's definitely signal that this defense for the Ravens is outstanding, very well coordinated. Healthy now. Marlon Humphrey probably going to go. I'm not exactly sure where you draw up your plan of attack if you're the Chiefs. Do you have a feel?
Yeah, let's stick with that. Let's stick, Spags versus Monken. Like you said, that the Chiefs secondary is not only good, but they're versatile and basically have, for the most part, limited wide receivers every week.
Sure.
Teams have, I think it was Ted Wynn, the Athletic. I was reading something. He pointed it out. Like, the Bills did it right. Maybe they ran a little too much, but when they did throw, they were targeting their tight end. They targeted Cook a bunch. That's kind of what you want to do in this spot. And, it might be something the Ravens are probably able to replicate again. Spread the offense out, get them into a light defense. It's easier across the middle with both your tight ends at that point. Obviously, Andrews, they're still a little tight-lipped on Andrews, but they did waive a linebacker today to make roster room. So, it kind of says more than anything Harbaugh could have said out loud. Zeitler was back. We didn't really go through injuries. Maybe we'll get to Casey in a second. But, yeah, Baltimore is fairly healthy in this spot, which is obviously a big boon to them. But they get their tight ends out there, you get the lighter defenders, and then you run the ball. I wonder, and I've seen this total drop a little, I wonder if this is a spot where, the combination of the three wide receivers see like a total of, like less than 15 targets. It's a lot of throws again to the tight ends, a lot of throws to the running backs, and a lot of running out of spread sets like that, running into even maybe heavy boxes if you want, because these tight ends can block as well. So, and it has been a team it's a hard one. This is always a stat I take with a grain of salt because it's so schedule dependent and it's so hard to contextualize these numbers based on who you play. But the Chiefs have not been good against QB runs, whether they're, called or if it's scrambled. And a lot of that is just sometimes, running man. When you run a lot of man, you're going to, like we said, kind of have your back to the quarterback sometimes. And we saw that. What was that play where Josh Allen was running and the guy just kept going? It's like, oh shit, he can't tackle him if he doesn't know he's back there at that point. So
that was Mahomes. That was Mahomes against the Dolphins.
That was Mahomes.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah,
that was, that's another thing. I just wonder if it's going to turn into a bit of a grind. And so everything I'm saying makes sense from these are some of their weaknesses against a good defense, and it works. But again, it turns into last week where that isn't an explosive offense. Unless Lamar hits some home runs, unless Andrews or, some of the other guys hit some serious yak. And if you don't have an explosive offense and it starts to become a higher scoring game, then you need to make the adjustments. And I don't know if I love that. So It needs to turn into a bit of a, even though it's not the Chiefs of old where they had Tyreek and you really saw teams actually doing that, like trying to keep the ball out of his hands. It might turn into that where we need to have long possessions. We need to run the ball well. We need to be doing short stuff over the middle and not try to press the ball down against these good corners.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, on the other side, it'll be interesting to see what Spags does from a blitz standpoint, because you saw there's kind of two pieces of data from last week. Like Lamar struggled with it.
Sure.
But then he didn't. And you're facing a team who was able to make big time adjustments at half and kind of stymie what the Texans were doing with the blitz. Obviously, Spags I consider him a better defensive coordinator. Probably two of the best.
No, of course.
Yeah. I don't know. Name me 5 better defensive coordinators right now. Maybe Flores. God, he did a lot with Minnesota. Flores.
Yeah, I don't know. These are definitely 2 of the tops. No question. Yeah, man, it's tough. I guess where I look at like the Ravens offense versus Chiefs defense, I kind of just feel like the Ravens are inevitable. Like they're going to score here, and I don't know that the Chiefs. I like kind of like last week, right? Like, was there anything that the Chiefs could have done differently if they could have had a redo in their game plan? Probably not. Like they gave up what they intended to give up, and ultimately, like their opponent just ran out of juice at the wrong time. And Chris Jones is certainly a guy that is capable of disrupting in the fourth quarter. He's a weird dude, man. Like there's very clearly like he like has a meter of how much effort he can give.
Check.
He has a meter of how much energy he's willing to give in a game, and he saves it. What's the like the Wii game
where your HP, you got to save up your mana.
Yeah, you're on the or you the horse riding game where you get to tell the horse, you get a certain amount of like whipping the horse, right? And so your question is like playing the game like go. Like do you just save it all for like the home stretch, or do you try to dole it out
like,
over the whole?
You're not. He has the NOS button.
The NOS button. Where are you hitting the NOS? When is he hitting the NOS button? He saves it for the fourth quarter very clearly.
Carrots and Zelda.
Like ultimately is that impactful? Like I kind of feel like you're going to have 3 pretty free quarters of Baltimore moving the ball pretty cleanly. Like I just don't think there's much that Spagnuolo can do. Maybe they force Lamar into some turnovers. That's possible, but I don't think that's likely. Lamar's playing phenomenal football right now and mistake free for the most part, other than the dropped pick by Petrie. So yeah, I mean, I have a tough time seeing this as a slow start for the Ravens offense as we saw last week. I kind of just think Ravens are going to take off. Yeah.
Like we said, there's strengths, and this Chiefs defense is a lot better than some of the teams they've faced recently or in the, their one playoff game so far, but it has been a rough run defense.
Yep.
And this is a good run scheme with a good running quarterback and smart people who aren't going to bang their head against the wall and be stubborn.
Yep.
Like we've seen in the past with these Ravens teams that have stopped short of, their goals. So
yeah,
I do think so. I think that, if you want to put the foot in the other boot there, this is not how you say it. And how the Chiefs have to win this is probably making Lamar try to throw to the wide receivers.
Sure.
They might need to ramp up the blitz a little and try some different things, disguise some blitzes, force him to.
He can do it. You're going to do it, but it's not going to. Yeah, he can do it, but it's not going to be like super high efficiency for them to make Lamar throw outside the numbers, right?
It sucks because the way you might have to do it is a good way to get beat as well.
Yeah, right.
But it's that, or just watch him cross the street 100 times and score on you,
which they do now regularly.
Yeah, and again, so let's say we get the Ravens with a 10-point lead.
Yeah,
you're in a bad spot then. Because
you have Pat Mahomes still. So
I know you still have Pat Mahomes, but your defense is in hell at that point. Because then they're running the 14-play 8-minute drive.
Yeah, right.
They're super capable of.
Yeah,
and we haven't even talked about we're almost making it sound like these are wide receivers have no shot. They've been okay.
They've been fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wonder what the game plan is going to be to get those guys open, get them separation against some really good corners.
Some final thoughts on the Ravens offense. Expecting outstanding pass pro, generally. Expecting Lamar pocket awareness at 100, generally. expecting Lamar explosive runs occasionally, expecting a split between Gus Edwards and Hill. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's pretty 50-50. Expecting a split in targets for tight ends between Andrews and Likely, because Likely's emerged. He's perfectly fine to have out there as a second banana in 2 tight end sets, or just your principal target, on a given tight end leak type of play. So I would expect that they have more ways to hurt you now on offense, and I would also expect that passing touchdowns are there's going to be opportunities in the red zone to really find the passing touchdown opportunities for Lamar. So I don't get why his
I would agree with this unless it's a blowout again.
Yeah.
I don't think you go to Cook very much. He did have one nice run, but that was against a team that kind of knew where they were at that point. I do kind of, props wise, just to close the book, I don't mind Justice Hill. I think you see maybe a little more kind of a split there, and his props like 32 yards.
So here's what I got to ask you then after saying all this. The Ravens team total is 24.5 juice to the under. Like, they get that number more than 50% of the time.
Yeah.
Good special teams, good kicker.
I do wonder.
No real weather concerns.
I do. It's almost certainly going to rain.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me a little scared of this under, that I still lean to this under despite you trying to scare me off it. I'm not going to bet it. It's getting closer, and it's dropped to 44 at some of the sharp books.
Sure.
I'm probably off the under, but
it's on its way down, right?
I wonder about gosh. Yeah, now you got me thinking about the total.
Yeah.
I do wonder if we turn into a spinning it on the Chiefs and playing their game against them, where it's like, hey, the Ravens are up by 7-10 points in the second half, and we get like 3 total points in the whole second half.
Yeah, it's not
because
crazy.
they just grind it out. They get 3 good stops on defense, and that's it.
That's it.
Where it's like, hey, the Ravens scored 24 in the first, and we're sweating it out with like a late field goal to get it. But, I mean, you're right. I do lean under. I like the Ravens quite a bit.
Okay.
See are there 3.5s left, or am I
doubtful?
Shit out of luck on that.
I think if
you look around, there are
it's
some
not.
that are
It's not that. It's not that difference index wise. If you want Ravens 3.5, it's -111. So it's kind of what it was.
I'd rather.
Right? It was like 113 yesterday. They moved it to 4, but they actually indexed it back in the direction of the.
Yeah, I'd rather get a 4
Chiefs.
at plus money.
Okay.
All right, other side of the ball.
So, if I take you back in time to this time last year where Mahomes was hurt and he was a dog in the AFC Championship game at home, and we're like we're like, how is this fucking possible, man? This is the only time in our lives we're gonna get to bet on Mahomes as a dog ever.
Early in that week, early in the week, there was like, is he even gonna play?
Oh, sure.
His foot was foot, ankle, whatever it was so fucked up.
There was like a Zapruder film of him at practice. People were breaking it down. The Twitter, there was never a better time to be a Twitter doctor in your life than that week. He ultimately played and beats the Bengals. But I remember saying that week, like, this might be the only time you ever get to bet on Mahomes as a dog in the playoffs. Not to be, because the next week he was a dog in the playoffs, or 2 weeks later, I guess, in the Super Bowl. Yeah. And I made a big deal then. They're like, it feels generational. You getting to bet on Mahomes as a dog in the Super Bowl. I don't think we'll ever see this again in our lives. He's now a dog outside of a field goal, Andy.
All it took was them not having any wide receivers at all. So
yeah.
The more
going up against a team that hasn't played a bad game since October or whatever.
Yeah. The more I look back at that too, and I think maybe as we look back in this season, if the Chiefs season ends this Sunday, what a fucking crime it's not even what you're paying him.
Sure.
But like, maybe not even for the fans or the owners of the team or the backers of this team, but football in general, football fans all over the world, to not surround him with better offensive weapons for like a full year really does kind of seem like it should be punishable, but at least like probation, some sort of stayed time. It's not great. And yeah, that is the big difference between, this year, and he's done a lot, and this coaching staff is still very good, and they've got it by, but there has been some really tough hangs this season. I mean, that Raiders game where they just could not get it going. And we saw as the season progressed that Raiders defense was pretty good. Like it's like, oh, this is actually a decent unit. They're playing good against some good offenses. The Minnesota game doesn't count because of the quarterback, but still, like they stopped everything Minnesota threw at them for a long time. They not just the return touchdown interceptions, which were nice because they helped them win the game, but basically every other drive outside of the late ones, they really looked good. So you've seen it against a really good defense. This team, it doesn't have that easy button with Hill. It doesn't have that easy button, even maybe with Kelsey later in the season. He's had the dropsies a little, and he's a little older. He's picking up some injuries. They're going to be missing Thuney. Almost certain. I mean, is that your read? He's
out. I would say out.
He's out. Edwards. So Edwards, the corner who had the concussion. Who knows? It's the playoffs. Gay goes. He's just been limited. Snead goes. He's limited.
Okay.
Tony, it doesn't matter, right? And then Pacheco is a weird one though. I'm
assuming he goes.
I'm assuming, but a toe injury isn't great for a guy who runs like he, is in the Broadway revival of Stomp. So I don't know. Yeah, Abahef's asking too. Ankle and toe.
I think
that's
plays.
Not great. I think he plays, but I worry that he's going to be less than effective. And this is a weird defense to break down. Like you brought up Matabuke, but this is the team that led the league in sacks. The Ravens defense. Name some other guys who had. Were up there in sacks for them because it's a weird mix of players. Like, and their leader is Matabuke. He is an interior defender because they do such weird things with the pass rush.
I mean, it's easy to name Roquan Smith, who probably had 2 or 3.
Yeah, he's not even in their top.
Clowney had a
Clowney was second. He had 9.5.
Adafe
Owe was fourth with 5 sacks.
Man, they had a specialty guy, that old guy from the Patriots,
Kyle Van Noy. Came back 9 sacks from outside. 9 sacks. They just bring him in, say like we're retooling you, bringing him in.
Did he have 9 sacks on 9 pressures? I feel like I barely heard that guy's name called.
He had 9 sacks on 9 snaps, man. I mean, he played a lot more than that. But, and then Queen, Hamilton, Urban, some other guys, but no real. I mean, outside linebackers. But it's been weird because you see this, and I watched a bunch of this, and Solak did a good article about did you read that this week about the movement, pre-snap? Read that if you get a chance. It's long, but it's good. The pre-snap motion stuff.
Yeah. And
him and somebody else got into what the Ravens do with their pass rush because, like I just said, they lead the league in sacks.
Sure.
But they don't blitz much.
Just simulated pressures just to kind of confuse the quarterback to make him pause just a hot second, right?
Yeah. So it's weird. It's like they don't blitz much, but they can get the effect of a blitz with 4 guys because they bring all these people up like they're going to blitz, and then enough of them drop back where it's still just 4 people. But sometimes you end up with a guard who's just, I have nobody.
He's blocking it, right?
And you end up with these free rushers on the outside so often. That's where you see like the Hamilton sacks and stuff.
Sure.
It's like, oh, they're bringing 4, but the left side of this line is just overwhelmed, and there's a free rusher. They do a really good job of that, and that's going to be a fun cat and mouse game because obviously.
Do you think that will be effective?
It really depends on what we see, I guess. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be really interesting to see what the Chiefs do. We've seen it before. We've seen these teams.
Yes.
So
here's another key point: is Joe Thuney's absence being overstated if he's just going to be blocking air?
So that's what I guess. So it's Allegretti. He's decent fill-in, but no, I would be attacking that. I think that probably affects your run game a little more.
Sure,
but no, I would definitely find ways to attack what is now probably a little bit of a weaker side, and it'll be interesting to see because Mahomes is smart, very, very smart, and they have a ton of film on this now. It'll be interesting to see what happens with some of these if they're able to sniff out who's actually coming, who's dropping back.
Of course,
it really does help. It does help the secondary a lot when it's just like, oh shit, here's a safety that snuck up. but now he's out in coverage, and boom, he's on Kelsey. Like
Hamilton
was blitzing, but now he's covering Kelsey. Kelsey's not open, and I got a free rusher coming off the left.
Do you think we see the best of Andy Reid playbook in the first half, or do you think they try a little bit of everything and just try to hope and pray that they don't lose the game, lose distance, so much distance that they can't make it up in the second half?
I think the biggest way to combat confusion is confusion.
Yeah.
Like really make McDonald worry more about his coverages. And again, hearkening back to that the Solek piece where he talked about, motion and pre-snap motion. And the biggest thing, and you see this so much with Miami, and obviously Miami it was cold and they were injured and didn't matter anyway. But, when you do motion a guy all the way to the outside, that changes everybody's coverage. Just doing little things, even if it's not something you've normally done, doing things to cause them, to have coverage lapses. So even it's like, oh, we're dropping guys, but this guy was originally dropping back into that middle of the field zone where he was, playing safety, but suddenly this side is, stacked with trips when it wasn't because of the motion, and that screws everything up. Like you're going to have to do some unique things on offense. Otherwise you probably just get eaten up by some of these blitzes again. Mahomes is very good at sack avoidance, but a lot of teams have been good at sack avoidance, then gone up against Baltimore and gotten hit, which I will give Texans credit. They were decent.
Okay. So closing thoughts here. You lean Ravens and under. I played over at a bad number. And I also am holding Chiefs to win the AFC from that infamous 15 minutes at the end of week 18 pod where we disagree. I could not twist your arm that Chiefs for plus 441 was value. You did not want anything to do with it. I'm sitting on that and not hedging. So I guess I'm effectively on small stakes on Chiefs money line here. I'm not going to be regretful, even if the Ravens win this thing 27-10, like 27-13. Like if the Ravens defense keep the Chiefs in a box, and that's why this is an under Ravens cruise, I'm still going to be like, I was fine riding and taking my chances with Mahomes here because they're basically the same bet, right?
Yeah.
I think the over and this is like a weird to have this highly correlated of a market, in my opinion, at this stage of an NFL season. But I really have a tough time seeing what are the outcomes here where the Ravens don't cover 4 and the game goes over, right? Like it's possible. I'm sorry, I'm saying this backwards. Like a game where the Ravens don't cover, but they do keep the Chiefs in the teens, right? And a game where the Chiefs don't cover, but the game goes over, into the 50s, right? Like I feel like those are your most likely 2 game states, and anything else is some weird shit happens. More sacks than you'd expected, a couple of turnovers, a punt return touchdown, right? Like there's weird stuff that gets you into the other areas here. And
I do think that's a good reason why I'm avoiding this total, because not only that, we saw it last week when it rained. What happened? We had defenders. We had like 3 separate cornerbacks for San Francisco on their ass watching players run past them. Like hopefully we learn some lessons and we get the right cleats on our guys. But honestly, rain without wind, I think honestly leads towards more over than under as far as weather goes. Okay. And the Ravens have had some very weird stuff as far as game states where it's like, oh man, I guess they're going to, like the Lions game. And that was a way worse defense. But when this offense gets rolling and, let's say they do run up with a lead and the running game is just working and the Chiefs say, wow, now we have to bring people up. We have to bring heavier boxes. And suddenly Zay is open, OBJ is open, and they do start taking some big chunks. So I agree with you there, but I will say that I didn't hate the Chiefs to win the AFC. I just hated the number.
441 wasn't good enough. I remember you said that.
The rollover's got to be north of 7.
No, well, they were dogs last week actually. So
yeah, I was going to say,
right.
what was wild card minus 250?
I remember betting it at the bottom at minus 193.
Okay, we'll go with bookmaker number. Well, bookmaker is the longest. We'll go 225, and then they're like plus 125,
plus
and they're
130 last week. I
Yeah.
bet them, but actually, what's funny is I did it. I rolled it over anyway, and I'm not betting it this week. I'm just sitting on my.
And
440.
they're minus or plus 170 right now, so that's almost 8-1.
Almost 8-1. So it was a very bad number.
I just trying to make you money.
Yeah.
No, I respect sitting on it. I don't think I'd hedge at the price.
Okay.
It's one of those where, I mean, so we couldn't. Things could have happened. The Ravens could have screwed up, and they could be a favorite here. But at this point,
sure,
you have a plus 170 dog, and you got him at 4-1. Plus,
yeah, really, the bet at the time was that there was an asymmetric.
There's going to be some fuckery. Yeah, no,
there could be some asymmetric fuckery on the part of.
Maybe that was my. You
were like, there's not going to be fuckery.
I just love the Ravens so much. I'm like, it's not happening. So yeah, I like Baltimore. Okay. I still make it closer to 5. I may lay them here, but probably just going to be player props for me here. Like I said, I don't mind Hill. I don't mind any of the running backs or tight ends. Maybe it's going to be tough with Likely and Andrews looking at the reception props. Maybe running back receiving props. Gus, more Hill than Gus, maybe. And then probably Lamar, anything under 70 rushing yards, which sounds like a lot, but I still might just bet that over.
Okay. All right. Do you want to do a halftime show for both games or just the night game? We typically do both.
I'm going to be around.
All right, let's do a halftime show.
Will you be at a computer?
Yeah.
You can do both.
All right, let's do both. All right. I don't have much more to say. These are tight markets.
It's tough. I was going to say anything else I have. Yeah, like Chiefs.
The Ravens. Here's like last final point about the over, right? And honestly, I'm going to play some alt overs. I'm not done here for sure. Like I'm going to get into this market once they put some bigger numbers up. You have a team that we all think is very good and matches up well against the opponent in the Ravens offense versus the Chiefs defense, which means the Ravens, in my opinion, their floor, their team total, that might be the secret probably, by the way, team total over for the Ravens. If you're so high on everything Ravens, we should probably give that some sincere thought. But you have, a team that I think I have a ton of respect for offensively against a defense that has soft spots that fit hand in glove. And then on the other side of the ball, you have at a minimum, you have a coach and a quarterback who, great, 99th percentile quarterback, 98th percentile coach, and a ton of guys with experience. And you're just like, hey, just like, don't lose your shit here. Like come up with some answers, come up with something, get yourself into this game at some point, even if it's not going well. And that's why I think there's realistic potential for this to be like, I don't know, 31-24 going into the fourth quarter. Like this literally could open up, I think, if everything is clicking for the Ravens and the Chiefs just have to dig in and find an answer. Like that's not crazy to me. We'll see.
The biggest, the biggest X factor, I think, is what McDonald brings against the Chiefs offense, because it is a lot of teams have run just straight up man, and you run straight up man when you have an advantage in the secondary. And even teams who don't have great cornerbacks have done it because the Chiefs wide receivers kind of suck. And the Ravens are a team that runs a lot of zone. They're a heavy zone defense. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in coverage there, what they do, how effective the blitzing and the simulated blitzing is. And then kind of devil's advocate for, my bets, or the way I'm leaning is it's a really good screen team. And you can beat some of these blitzes. You can beat some of these defenses by being really good at screens, by getting guys moving across the middle like a really good tight end. So it's such a hard offense to really pin down, like, what are they going to do this week? And it was nice they got a lot out of Rashee Rice, but it's easy to take one guy away, it feels like, for a defense like this. It's a big step up in class for both offenses going against these Ds. And yeah, it's I think the total is 100% hinging on the Chiefs offense.
Scoring into the 20s.
Yeah, they got
or at least threatening.
Yeah, they got to get 17-21.
Yeah. They got to threaten 20. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Halftime interlude here. Geez, weird ass games in the NBA going on tonight. Sixers just getting clowned by the Pacers. You got 150 points at halftime for the Celtics and the Heat, it feels like.
Golf won.
Nice. Good job, man. Good job.
Love getting a
Torrey Pines winner.
Cut line win.
Torrey Pines, by the way, is going to have, I think, a couple epic days the next 2 days. So that'll be fun to watch if you're looking for a little like sunny weather porn. Tune into Torrey Pines and bet Andy's golf.
We put a free one in the golf newsletter every week. I get into the point where now I'm getting worried because it's 5-0 on the season. Some pretty easy ones, another cut line winner. So now I'm the kind of guy who hates a winning streak because it makes me worry about the downturn. But I'm trying. That was my New Year's resolution, was not be such a little bitch. enjoy winning some bets. So I'd like Michael Kim to win the tournament. I got him at like 100 to 1. He's somewhere in the top 5-10. So golf is 10. There's a lot of golf left.
P. Don's wants thoughts on Sinner Joker. I'm off market on that number. I'm closer to coin flip. I hope it's competitive. I like Medvedev though quite a lot. I laid the money line price and I took the -1.5 handicap for Medvedev against
the Alcaraz match. Felt like more of an aberration, and the aberration was that he didn't cough it up somehow after losing that third set.
Well, he didn't cough it up somehow, and then he hit freaking 85% of first serves. Like, do it again. I dare you. Like, let's see it. Let's see you do that again. Like, I just can't. And even if he does do it again, like, I give higher faith in Medvedev getting some of those returns back. Anyway,
I think we'll probably see. I'm Medi Sinner is where
Medi Sinner.
It'd be a fun one.
I would love that. I would love that. And I mean, I'm sitting Sinner. To get his future home, we kind of need him to get it done in 4, which is asking a lot, but I don't know. We'll see.
How about the Saturday final?
I am 12 to 1 ticket holder on Jen Shinwen, which means I am handcuffed to her at this point. And I've been
doing 3 to 1 dog.
4 plus 400.
Really?
Yes. The market has just completely lost its mind on Sabalenka. That's fine.
Gavin's got some Queen.
Yeah, I was way late to the party. I took a teeny bit of her for quarter 2 just because the price was good, but it wasn't a very big bet. And then once there started to be some chaos, I caught a stale 12 to 1 for her to win the tournament. And I don't know, man. I think I spent a lot of today, by the way, looking at data and trying to convince myself that Zheng Xinwen is basically the next Rybakina, and Rybakina beat the shit out of Sabalenka in Brisbane. So we got a chance, man. We got a chance.
No bet for me. I'm just gonna enjoy that one.
I think Zheng can win, but I'm not like dying.
She wins the first set. I might come in live at a worse number because of what happened to Sab's head.
Yeah, well, Sabalenka could. Do you know she's got a little mental pressure on this one, right? Yeah. She made a promise to her dead dad that she was going to win 2 slams before she turns 25, and this is her final chance to get number 2 before she turns 25. So she better not choke. Just saying.
Christopher Davis, haven't seen the schedule. Hope it's not at 2 a.m. Well, you're lucky. It's at 2:30 a.m. Central. So I might not get up for that one. It might be a ignore Twitter and watch it Saturday morning.
I'm gonna listen to it on the radio. Yeah.
All right. Second game.
All right. This one is more straightforward. I laid 7 at a plus money price with the Niners, which feels like fake now that it is at a trending towards flat 7.5. 7.5 right now, minus 104 at Chris. And honestly, I feel good if this is like I just got ahead of the people who all agree with me who are smart. I feel less good if this is like people being like, oh, Debo might play. I'm going to play the Niners then. Because if that's what's pushing this, and then I'm like, oh, well, that's that. Because I don't really think that is a huge factor here. If Debo does play, I'm expecting him to be more of a decoy, if you will. But that said, like the static part of the game for me and the static part of the handicap is much like the home offense versus road defense we talked about with the Ravens and the Chiefs being relatively high floor, I think the same thing exists here for the Niners against this Lions defense. The Lions defense has had an arc over the balance of this season where they couldn't defend very well in the secondary. They couldn't generate a pass rush with 4. They needed to stop the pass, so they decided to integrate more and more exotic blitzes. Right? That is kind of how they have solved some of their woes in the passing game, is finding unique ways to bring pressure. You know who that has worked against? That has worked against specific quarterbacks who struggle with that, like Baker Mayfield. You know who that does not work against is Brock Purdy in the Niners.
The most efficient offense
yes,
in the entire world.
Right. Man, you want a little extra Parmesan cheese on your San Francisco.
I'll say when.
Yeah, okay. We'll put a little Parmesan cheese on this. One of the greatest yards after catch teams that we've ever seen, up against a team that struggles tackling in the second level. Brian Branch, of course, is maybe the exception to the rule. Every other guy is a liability out there in terms of tackling.
Maybe something we should do next week, interdispersed with our awards, is apologies. I don't want to ruin one now, but boy, was there anybody who liked this draft by the Lions?
Put that as one of the awards. Well, we can keep adding. We haven't sent out the ballots to the 50 voters yet.
Apology zone.
Apology.
Branch is fine. The linebacker they took is good enough, and then obviously Gibbs and Laporta are very good.
Extra parm on your garlic fries. Oh, San Francisco does have very good garlic fries. All right. The fact that they struggle tackling in the second level, the fact that the Niners are yak merchants, that is just it's just perfect. Honestly, the Niners offense, I feel like, is going to flex hard in this one, and it's going to come down to the cover, and the total is going to come down to what do the Lions produce. Okay. And I think I'm gambling here that the front four for the 49ers defense is going to have a day. And the reasons that I gambled on this are, number one, they're at home and they're up against a unit that has been playing their games at home for a little while now.
So, timeout. Do you know when the last time the Lions played an outdoor game?
Yes, I do. It was the Bears.
It was the Bears. December 10th.
December 10th. Yeah.
You know when the last time they won an outdoor game?
Ooh, was it the Bucks?
Yes, October 15th.
Oh boy,
Tampa Bay. Granted, they didn't play a lot of outdoor games. They did win 3
It's
or 4
more of a statement about
season.
being on the road. It's more of a statement about being on the road, right?
Yeah,
if your offensive line,
the
weather's gonna be fine. It's about the crowd noise. It's about the setting. It's about the defense having an advantage, right? And I look at particularly the injuries for the Lions offensive line. We're expecting Ragnow goes. Is it still true to say that Jonah Jackson's going to play?
I don't know about Jonah Jackson. DNP Wednesday and Thursday. I don't.
Yeah, I was assuming he's not go. What's on Ragnow's list?
Ragnow. So it said Ragnow DNP for Wednesday, and I think today ankle, toe, knee, back is what they did when they do the parentheses.
Well, his appendix is okay. That's good news.
Yeah, good. Your shoulder's fine, I guess. But, Ragnow is extremely it's 50-50. He gets knocked out of that game with that many injuries. I don't know that the Khalif Raymond injury matters. It's been a few weeks there. He's fine. We have someone who returns punts. Anzalone was limited.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Reynolds was limited. Again, maybe doesn't matter as much. Laporta's fine. Chase Lucas was a DNP. Whenever there's a guy like that, I have to look. I'm like, does this guy cycle?
How many snaps?
A nickel? None. He's a special teamers, but it's annoying. It's I have to look at this guy if he's like a cycle in guy or not.
Is this a game breaker?
He's near. He's near the bottom, and it's no. It's all been kick return. So obviously the biggest issues are the offensive line for the Lions and Debo for the Niners. But I'm with you. It has been a defense that's looked really, really gettable by an offense that can, put together a game plan and be efficient on it. And if we saw the worst of Purdy, non-concussed Purdy in the bad weather last week, he still scored 24 points.
Sure.
If that's your floor where he's throwing multiple probably interceptions that should have been multiple bad passes, looking kind of like shit in general, if that's your floor, and again, it's not like Green Bay has any right about home about defensively, but
let me correct you on the record for this. Okay, Green Bay did have a lot of the signal of like Browns defense when they played them.
They were
generated
healthy.
They generated like 10 pressures, and they didn't blitz for shit. Like they found innovative ways to get pressure on Purdy. And actually, what was it, Rashawn Gary,
Joe Barry,
was it Quay Walker, whoever Joe Barry Swan song. His final act is his grand finale.
He didn't die.
No, his grand finale. He found ways to generate pressure without sending the blitz. And if you can do that, then tremendous. But we specifically know that the Lions can't.
Comment of the day by Fire and Ice 39. Ragnow will play, but he's working with a critical health bar.
Yes.
And so it hurts, the screen's flashing red. Like
he's gonna have a tough time hearing communicating with like that incessant beeping in his ears the entire game.
That's the biggest. Yeah. That's the biggest thing is we haven't seen this team on the road for a bit. We haven't seen them in the playoffs on the road. And yes, the secondary is a little stinky, but we have a good pass rush here. So it's that's the strength on strength that's really interesting to me. And it's like, is Goff actually good versus the blitz? Is he actually good versus sack avoidance? Or is it just it's been a really good offensive line and they've really overperformed at home? And for the most part, in the second half of the season, it stayed fairly healthy. So Jackson out, Ragnow beat up. If we have to switch, Ragnow matters a lot, obviously, outside of just, like he's in the middle. And you see what happens when they have to replace that guy. Suddenly there's 2 fumbles that you weren't accounting for that normally wouldn't have. That happens all the time when we,
of course it does.
We switch centers. So, if the Niners win that battle, if they are able to pressure Goff, sack Goff, if they're winning versus a top 5 offensive line because of some of the injuries, and this game is over, isn't it? Like,
yeah, right. That's kind of my head. That's where
because
my head is
then I mean, getting even early down sacks takes away probably what the biggest strength of the Lions offense versus the Niners is going to be is, hey, we're a good run team.
Yeah.
This is a bad run defense. But when it's, it's 2nd and 17 after Goff's pulling his face out of the turf, that middle off guard counterplay or whatever, it's just not gonna hit the same. And maybe they're still effective at the run and they do it.
It'll help them get better field position for their punt.
Yeah.
But that's it.
If they do lose that battle, like they're super dicked, they have to get what they've gotten recently out of Goff. They have to run the ball well because you said that's going to be a strength on weakness for them. And, obviously if they try to take away Laporta, you have to figure something out. It has to be a big ARSB or throwing to the running backs repeatedly. But you kind of want to test this team deep.
Yeah, I think Goff does struggle with pressure. And what's weird is that the Niners generate pressure at just an absurd clip without blitzing. The problem is they never really seem to get home, which is weird. Need to just finish some sacks, guys, please. If there's interior quick pressure from Armstead and Hargrave here, and then that forces Goff, flushes him into Chase Young or Bosa, maybe we see some higher sack count in total. But that to me, I think is what you need to watch is the trenches, and I think you need to watch it early because I think they're gonna execute their whip their horses early in this game, try to win, try to get some comfortable stops against this Lions offense, not let them get into rhythm. And I think that'll help generate a couple score lead before we get to halftime, at which point this game is over. So Lions with the deficit this year, have you seen the numbers?
I mean, I'm trying to think of is it the Green Bay game?
Multiple score deficits have not gone well for this.
Oh, the Bears game. The outdoor game. And
the indoor Bears game is the only comeback that I can actually point to of consequence.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm talking about the outdoor Bears game where they looked like one of the worst teams in the league at that point.
Yes.
That was a tough spot because
not even their worst performance of the year, though, which goes to the Ravens. The Ravens game. And
they just got savaged. That early in the season. But then both road games. The Packers game at home wasn't great.
Yeah, the Packers game at home.
That's kind of when the Packers are starting to be like, oh, we're maybe a playoff team though. That's a tough game. That was
their turning the corner game, but the point exists though, which is the Lions were 7-point favorites in that game. They got kicked in the teeth early, and they never really recovered. They ended up closing the gap to 7, but the Packers kind of took their foot off the gas.
I agree with the Milf Hunter here too in the comments. Yeah, right. I said it on Sunday at halftime. I said it yesterday. Like, I'm on the 7. Like, this is a number I liked. I love that it's moving this way. I'm with you. I hope it's not Debo stuff. And as James Davis has pointed out as well, I'm like you have that total. Sure. I'm looking for some alts.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if there's I signed up for some new sports books when I was in Chicago because I didn't have a ESPN and I can't remember the other one. So now I get a million emails. So it's like, oh, you have free bets. Well, I can't use them here. So I might pop down to Iowa and see what they have for some alt spreads on Saturday because I might do first half alts. I kind of like the Niners if they are humming to just hum the fuck out of this, as the old saying goes. And I think if they win, they win big.
I think at this point, in fact, if the 7's already sailed, I think that's the way you attack this game, right? And I guess real quickly, just to make sure that we're not completely
sell it to the 8.
Well, you might as well sell it to go just 9.5. Get a little weird, make it a 2-score must win by 2. Without, I don't want to completely ignore or avoid the counter argument here, which is, well, what if the pass rush for the Niners doesn't get home? What if
then I think holds up? I think you see a game similar to last week where Green Bay controlled big chunks of the clock.
Sure.
And the Lions can do something similar. They have a better running game. They have maybe not a better quarterback, but a better offensive line. Like you said, if they're
that's the same quality offensive line.
Maybe you're probably right. It was better when at full health, but now with Jackson out, Ragnow beat up, it's probably closer. But it's a better running team, and if they are not getting long down the distance behind the chains, as it were, and they're able to run, we see something similar to last week. But the difference being, if the weather's nice, we probably don't get bad Purdy, and we see more effectiveness through the San Francisco 49ers offense. And I think the case there is this over is dead. Or not dead, but this over is
getting
murdered.
It's going to fly.
Yeah, it's going to fly because even with some longer drawn out drives by the Lions, they're going to score.
Okay.
And the Niners will be able to answer. All so right. Then, if that pass rush isn't getting home, this total maybe should be closer to 4.
Okay. Let's prep for 3 things. First is halftime. For 3 things, the halftime of game 1, is it fair to expect that Ravens are going to have a decent lead at halftime based on what we kind of know about these teams?
Is it scary to take that under a little bit
in the second half?
Yeah,
a little bit.
It's scary, but it's not the same KC.
It's not the same KC.
It's not 2021 KC.
But KC, and honestly, Harbaugh in high leverage games has not taken his foot off the gas. He has been. When he recognizes his enemy is legit, and Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid are legit, he's a foot on the gas guy. I think we should prepare for Ravens with the lead. We like the over. Chiefs with the lead. We like the under.
Yeah.
And if it's a score and answer game, maybe we try to figure outside based on what we see in matchup wise.
Yeah, maybe a team total.
Okay. And the night game, we're expecting Niners to take a lead into half. If the Niners are up by 2 scores at halftime, what are we doing?
We're taking more Niners.
More Niners, yeah.
We're taking more Niners. If the Lions are leading or close, we're probably taking over.
Okay, I dig that. That sounds good. Okay, third thing we need to prep for is Super Bowl prices. What do you think?
I had mine. I made my numbers for this.
Yeah,
a lot of books, obviously put them out early, which is fun. Some people took some swings at the Niners prices over at Circa. But all right, if it is the Niners facing the Chiefs, I would have the Niners as a 3.5 point favorite.
Ooh, wow.
I know I'm a little
2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row. Pat Mahomes is going to be a dog with more than a field goal.
If it is the Detroit Lions, although facing the Chiefs, and obviously I'd probably have to give them a little upgrade if they really put it on the Niners. KC -2, -2.5.
Okay.
Baltimore, San Francisco is pretty much a pick, man. I'd have Baltimore's slight favorite there.
Okay.
And then Baltimore, Detroit is Baltimore 5, 4.5, 5.
Okay. Cool. I'm closer. Yeah. That's no major disagreements with any of those, actually. I think you're right on the numbers. Which game do you want to break down the most?
I mean, I want to win the San Francisco.
Yeah, no.
I'd like a rematch of the Harbaugh Bowl. Just I wouldn't mind the favorites. I love Pat Mahomes and I love how fun he is to watch.
Ready for some new
but
blood.
I've had that. You know, when you bring your plate back to the buffet for the second, you don't just get more of what you had the first time. You don't grab another salad. You go to the prime, you go to the prime. Not comparing him to salad, although I do love a good Caesar. Oh, sounds good is the one with bacon and blue cheese.
I had one of those for lunch today.
A wedge sounds so good right now.
Excellent.
But I know, I'm sorry if you're a KC fan. I know obviously you're rooting for them, but I wouldn't mind to see Baltimore get to the top here with Lamar.
Okay.
And yeah, Baltimore, San Francisco would be a great one because it would be probably about a pick 'em, and we'd have a very fun 2 weeks of talking about that one.
I 100% agree. It would mean rewatching Christmas Day game, which is going to be tough. It's a tough one. Basically, any matchup is a rematch, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I guess San Francisco, KC's weird old rematch, but yeah, they played last year and it was a non-compete, but it was Jimmy G, not the great Brock Purdy. Will the Brock Purdy discourse change if the Niners win convincingly in this game, or are people still going to be stuck on their opinion of him?
Don't you think it's changed already a little?
Yeah, the discourse wasn't actually that bad, and he kind of stunk. So I'm not sure.
I know. Oh God, Patrick, why do you got to do this? Did you see Florio had to write the fucking article like, with Harbaugh back, does he give Kaepernick a shot? Like, it is 2024, Mike Florio. Stop. The guy's not coming off the couch, although Flacco did it.
Yeah. If it is Baltimore, San Francisco, do we have any early preview of what the Super Bowl logo color scheme is going to be for next year?
Yeah, oh my God, people love that. People love that conspiracy. People love
Super Bowl next year, by the way, is New Orleans. New Orleans. I very much hope to go. That's a very fun town.
I've never been. I could take a boat. I could follow the river.
Apparently, it's not that hard to get media credentials. We got to actually try.
I'll talk to Reed.
Okay. Yeah. Supposedly. Yeah. Maybe I heard wrong, but a birdie friend of ours was.
I think they just have so much availability. Like if you're with a legit company, like here you go.
Yeah.
I got to work on this. This is on my list for tomorrow. I'm trying to get some credentials down for the combine.
Yeah.
So if you are in Central Indiana, I might be coming to see you.
There's a lot of good football people that are going to be there.
I just have always wanted to go.
No, the networking is going to be
with the people.
Absurd. The networking is going to be ridiculous. The what do you call it? It's going to be like the new Sloan for the gamblers. I feel like going to the combine.
I don't know how well I do in New Orleans. I tend to get after it. I'm too old for that shit now. Although I was pretty well behaved in Chicago. There was there were some folks I thought the people I was with were gonna fist fight some Packers fans. They're all Bears fans. They're just getting sick of the shit. And
I love it, man.
So I'm voice of reason now. I'm older at this point. I turned 40 this year, guys. Yeah, I'm excited to go to the
big year, 2024, big year.
So yeah, if I do go to the combine, it might be like what I've always talked about and what I probably will be doing with Bet Bash. Like I will probably be in Vegas for Bet Bash, but I'm not buying fucking tickets to Bet Bash. You ain't gonna find me doing speed networking. And if that's your bag, no offense.
No offense.
If I'm in Vegas, I'm drinking, playing cards, getting weird. So same kind of thing in Indy, where it's like, all right, I get credentials to the combine, but I go to the combine for like 1 hour one day, and I'm just at the bars, at the hotel bars, doing that sort of stuff.
Without question.
I can't do a scavenger hunt, guys. I don't have that kind of energy.
All right, man.
Let's call her night. I'm going to get this put up as a podcast, and I got to go pick up some kids from a basketball game.
And of course, if you missed it off the top, be sure to tune in next week for the very special original deep dive NFL Awards 2024.
All my bow ties are too colorful. I don't have. I've never owned a tux.
I'll tell you what actually is the classy, stylish move is you just do the black necktie. A black necktie.
Yeah, skinny black. I might go.
It's that's the
nice dark blue gingham.
The ladies love it. Yeah, but the olds wear the bow ties at the black tie stuff. That's just my 2 cents. But
see you guys.
Best of luck. Hit the like on the way out.
Yeah, might as well.
For that. I guess might as well ask for that.
Keep screwing that up. Hit the like button.
Honestly, you know what? The algorithm doesn't give a fuck about us. Okay, it's not going to fucking help us. Like it all you want.
We just enjoy you guys.
We want to know that you enjoyed it, right? But if you really want to do us a solid, you have a friend in your life who is into sports betting, just tell them about our podcast. Like if you like it, they'll like it. Like you don't have to keep us a secret. Like word of mouth has really kind of lost its ability to grow, grassroots grow a product like you get
in this election year
every week.
Right. No shower fart, guys. You can't have a shower fart.
There's no shower fart this week. No,
it'll be literally me in the shower.
The shower fart prop of the week would be something like Dalvin Cook under rushing yards. That's a fun shower fart prop.
A couple have been talking about
team total, team secret pod play, Ravens over. You okay with that?
Yeah,
that kind of combines some of our opinions on that game. Okay. All right.
McCole Hardman over rushing attempts.
I dig that one.
Just so crazy, he might do it again.
Do it again.
I don't want. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil anymore. But if you think there's not going to be, this is the most predictable one we were going to do. Of course, there's going to be a shower fart game of the year.
Yes. Yeah, and honestly, it's going to be one of the tougher votes, right?
It's very hard.
I have seen the nominees. I got to go back and probably watch some shower fart tape. This is terrible.
Don't do that. Nobody needs that.
No, I'm not going to do that. All right, you guys. All right, call it a night. Good job. Good luck. Enjoy the championship weekend, and we'll do halftime shows for both of these games. And see you then. I'm not going to be crowning.
I have like a bright yellow bow tie. I think the only bow tie I have is like bright yellow polka dotted.
I hope people don't think we're building this up too much for the awards show. It really is going to be quite an.
It is going to be.
I'm excited. I'm personally excited.
Maybe I'll go buy a new suit jacket.